Welcome back to the Undisturbed podcast. This is your host, Kyle Dangler. This podcast is presented by United Front Media, and today we're going to have on guest Sam Selman. Now, Sam is a reliever with the San Francisco Giants. He's going to kick off Season 2 of Undisturbed podcast. So basically for this one, we're going to talk to him real quick. Not sure exactly when this podcast is going to come out, but just for a little background info, it is August 11th, 2020, obviously during COVID. Sam got a little time last year with the Giants in the bullpen, struggled with his command, ultimately brought back this year and had a good summer camp, as obviously everybody knows. They had spring training and summer camp due to the COVID strike. Now we're back in baseball. He pitched last night too. He's had a few appearances. It seems that he's coming into his own in the bullpen as trying to be one of the guys to be pitching in the late innings as a lefty. Not even specialist, I would say just a lefty, strong arm reliever at the end of the bullpen for the Giants. Obviously a team that's rebuilding and trying to get back into the hunt in the NL West. So we're going to give him a call right now and talk to him. And yeah, it should be a fun podcast. He went to Vanderbilt too, second round pick of the Kansas City Royals a few years ago now. And we're just going to give him a call right now and get going and talk to him.
Hey Kyle, how's it going?
Sam, how's it going? How are you?
Good. Finally got to catch up with you. So
yeah, how are you?
Good. I'm here in Houston, enjoying the same process that we do pretty much every day of hang out in the hotel until game time, and then head on over to the ballpark, and then come right back after the game. So yeah, very exciting.
So for you, I just wanted to talk about, obviously, if you're ready to get going, I just wanted to ask you, because we talked to a bunch of guys, a bunch of our friends, in different organizations throughout the kind of period where nobody knew what was going on, and they were obviously trying to keep in touch with the team as well as, do the regiment and workouts. But for you now, being one of the first guys we're talking to back in, obviously you went through summer camp and now back into the regular season, what's the process like? I know you just mentioned a little bit, but how awkward is it? Kind of how, not boring it is, but kind of bland it is this year, just in terms of, what you're doing every day in and out? Yeah,
so basically the daily schedule is pretty much the same home and road. We're all staying in a hotel in San Francisco, keeping everyone safe there and try to minimize our contact with everyone. And wake up in the morning and order room service or some kind of Postmates delivery system, and then wait till basically 1 or 2 o'clock every day, and then head on over to the ballpark. And then once we get to the ballpark, it's the exact same routine on over there. Get ready for the game, do whatever you need to do to get ready to pitch that night, and then throw in the game. And it's just, there's so many differences going on right now with no fans in the stands.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of different things of you're able to hear the hitter a lot more, and just the pitcher versus hitter matchup is a lot more interesting just because it's almost in a quiet stadium. You can just hear each other talk, and so that's kind of fun. But then we come back, and then it's right back to the room, and rinse, wash, repeat, and do the same thing over again. So it's tough. I'm in Houston right now, and I'm originally from Austin, Texas, and so I'd love to see my family, my friends. I got a bunch of family out here, and so it'd be great to see them. But we're made a team decision to stay away, and we're not trying to be the ones that make this virus end our season. So we've been pretty good about everyone staying put.
And for you guys, is it more of a locker room thing, more of a kind of management thing, where you're obviously talking about, not going to see family, trying to do as much as you can to not be in contact with people, or, go to the coffee shop? We've seen some other teams, obviously, have some problems just with kind of the COVID outbreaks. But for you guys, was it more of a, the leaders in the clubhouse kind of, all got together and you guys really just tried to tone it into everybody's mindset to stay away? Or was it more of just everybody kind of knew it already going into the season?
No, the leaders in the clubhouse took a stance and told us that they thought that we should not be the ones to end the season for anyone, and that there's a lot of older guys in our clubhouse, a lot of good leaders on this team, and they all have families and kids, and they said we're not even seeing our families and kids So we're staying away from them, and it's the easiest thing for us to do. Is I don't have any family, and so it's easy for me to just to be a one-man show, and so I could take care of myself for 60 games or so. But that was kind of our universal thing across the team. We had a meeting about it and just said, hey, let's be the ones to keep the season going, and this is a great opportunity for us to play some baseball. And so that was big for us, and so we made the universal decision across the team that we're going to stay put, and everyone's going to be accountable for each other, and try to make it through this season with no positive tests.
And for you guys, I'm assuming now it's every other day with the test, just because talking to other guys, it was every day during summer camp. But when you got to the ballpark and just making sure nobody had positive tests during that kind of streak. But I mean, is it more when you travel you're getting tested, more when every other day you're getting tested? What's it like for you in terms of the COVID testing? And for you, I mean, personally, is it kind of annoying, or just kind of just part of the daily process at this point, looking forward to every day you go to the ballpark?
Yeah, it's become a daily routine. Every other day we're getting tested. So we did get tested yesterday, but we're getting tested today. And they try to do a nasal swab test for us before we get on plane flights, the day before we go travel on the road, especially after a long homestand before we go on our road trip, to try to get immediate results back before we leave for the flight. But it's just become part of the routine, and it doesn't take but more than 5 minutes or so, and it keeps everyone safe and in check and all that. And so it's just become part of the daily process and daily routine. If it's one way that we're able to keep the season going, then it's not that big of a deal. But I've had probably over 35 negative tests, so definitely had a lot of results this year, and I know that I'm not going to be the one to end the virus, hopefully.
Yeah. Now let's get more into the baseball kind of side of things. Obviously, the COVID has obviously impacted the season, and just all sports in general. But for you, struggling last year just with kind of the ERA command in your first stint with the Giants last year in terms of the minor leagues, and then getting the call up once you got to the majors. This year, though, it seems like you're more in tune to it, just more accustomed to the major league ballparks, and obviously, pitching, and you just seem more comfortable out there. What's it like for you coming into this season? What was some of the things you were focusing on, and how has that translated to the success you've had early on?
Yeah, I was. I think the end of last season. You hate to say it was a long season, but it was just I'd been working on stuff. I was preparing for spring training since January, and so I was ready to roll for spring training. And coming into the season, I was ready to go and attack hitters, and I got called up in August and September. And you hate to blame it on fatigue, but it was more of, I think, first MLB experience, a little jitters getting out there, trying to put a little too much pressure maybe on myself of just saying, like, I wanted to stay up here. All I want to do is stick around and be a part of this team. And I think I was just trying to nibble at the corners a little too much, try to be a little too fine, try to do stuff outside of my abilities. And then I think in 2019 or 2020 in this season, I got sent down to Sacramento, our alternate site, out of camp, and that kind of stung a little bit. I thought I had a pretty good camp, and I felt that I'd done a pretty good job in camp to try to fight for a spot. But it gave me motivation to try to get back up to San Francisco as quickly as possible. And luckily, it only took a week, and I got a phone call back up, and I knew I wasn't going to try to waste this opportunity. And so the things I've been trying to work on has been more of fastball command, getting ahead of hitters, normal things like that, but making sure that my fastball is carrying through the zone a little bit more versus I have a tendency, I throw so many sliders, and it's become a great pitch for me, and it's become my out pitch. But I just don't need my fastball merging into what my slider is, and it cut a little bit last year, which lost some of the life on it. And so we're just working on trying to get the fastball to ride a little bit more and have a bit more carry through the zone. And so both pitches are kind of independent of each other versus kind of blending more together. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and for you, just looking forward, obviously pitching last night, what kind of bulk can you take in the bullpen? Obviously some guys, need a day off in between Are you someone who, can go 2-3 days in a row? Obviously, based on how many pitches you throw, but just, on general terms, I mean, how have you been feeling, at least in the beginning of, this shortened season? I mean, obviously, I'm sure they're trying to give everybody rest here and there as much as they can just to keep everybody healthy, but are you feeling, 100%, you're trying to get there? What's it like for you in terms of how much kind of you can take and your arm can take early on in a season where, kind of got backtracked into the end of July, early August?
Arm feels pretty good right now. I mean, I've been working on building up during the break and getting ready for situations like this. So I bounced back pretty well, and so I went back to back my first 2 days in the big leagues of this year, actually. So I went Friday, Saturday, back to back, and it bounced back quite well. And so it's one of those things where you just get used to it. You learn that this is Major League Baseball. I mean, they're going to need guys to throw every single day sometimes, and it's just one of those things where you learn to stretch a little bit more, or take care of your arm, or maybe try to work on ways to prevent soreness for the next day and stuff like that. And so I've built a pretty good routine to where I know that I only threw 12 pitches last night, so there's a real possibility that I could throw tonight again too. And so you kind of have that mentality going into the night after you pitch and the next day. So maybe don't do as much recovery stuff as normal, and try to focus on getting your arm flushed out and getting it ready to throw the next inning. So it's bounced back pretty well. And so I mean, I've thrown. I remember my call up debut last year. I threw 4 times in 5 days, and that was the first time I've done that. And that was an experience in itself. But I think once I've done that, I mean, that was the most I've ever thrown. And so from here on out, it's pretty much cake after that.
For you too, obviously, being, someone who gets called up last year, called up this year, you're going to find yourself just in terms of the bullpen depth chart, pitching, 5th, 6th inning, depending on how long the starter goes. But, with the success you've had this season, it feels like you're getting pushed back more and more to the later innings, which I'm sure as a bullpen guy, you love to see, just in terms of, getting more trust and getting more comfortable, not only with yourself, but with the manager. For you, is that somewhere you want to end up? I know, I'm sure, you'll pitch anywhere, any given time, but what's kind of your role that you have longed to achieve, not even in the big leagues, but just in your pitching career as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be in the back end of the bullpen. I mean, that's the most fun part, is that your teammates trust you to go out there and get the job done towards the end of the game. I mean, that's when it's really pretty exciting, is going in there and as a setup guy is what I'd probably be, or going out there and being a shutdown guy in between a couple innings or so. I mean, that's the big thing, is that's the most fun part of being a bullpen guy, is being able to go out there. Your teammates and coaching staff trust you to where, hey, we got bases loaded, no outs, we need you to get us out of this, or we got runners on second and third, we're up with a 2-run lead, like, we need you to strike this guy out. And that's the most fun part of being in the bullpen. So I'd love to be that kind of guy of we need a strikeout right here, or we need someone to we need to punch this guy out and get the momentum still going to the next inning, or we need to shut down 8th inning to set up for our closer for the 9th. Those are the kind of roles that I would see myself and hopefully pitching in, and that would be an ideal situation, and hopefully we get to that point pretty soon. I feel like I've been throwing pretty well right now, and would love to be in that situation. But I mean, you get any situation you're in, and you treat it like it's a 1-0 ball game. I think that's the best mentality you could have as a relief pitcher, is just my mentality of, I try to strike everyone out and try to not let anyone get on first base. And I think the more you try to do that, and you take the game out of it and just try to focus on one batter at a time, that kind of leads to the most success.
And for you, going through all of that, being more accustomed to it, obviously pitching last night with no fans, everything going on, how comfortable are you just in terms of, going into any situation? It's something where, I compare it to almost like a kicker in football, just in terms of, not knowing when you're going to get the call, big pressure situations that many people, don't really think of. But, being a reliever, I'm sure it's hard to, not know when you're going to be needed or when you're going to pitch that night. How accustomed are you to kind of the unknown of being a reliever, not knowing what day you're going to pitch? I mean, is the routine the same? Is it different based on, when you pitched last? How does it go for you just in terms of, being somebody who can be needed at any time, but also preparing yourself, not only physically, but mentally?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things you have to learn when you have to when you go through it. And fortunately enough, we had a couple guys in our pen last year of the older veterans, and then this year too with Tony Watson and Trevor Gott, and then we had Will Smith and even Tony Watson and Fernando Abad, and those guys. And you watch their routine of how they get ready for the game and for any situation they be put in. And so it starts with, okay, like read the games, the situation, how's the game going, how's the starter feeling, how many pitches have been going on. And then you go from there as far as, okay, all right, now it's the fourth, he's at 60 pitches, maybe start stretching out. Like there could be a situation here where I get a lefty in the lineup coming up and we got runners on second and third, we need a punch out, or there's some kind of situation where I could throw in. And so you start warming up and start moving around and doing things to get ready to throw. And so it's like I have a routine like anyone else of just you get moving around, start stretching again, and I usually wait to do like my arm exercises right before I get ready to go into the game because those take the least amount of time. But you try to read the situation and see what potential innings you might come in. But it's been huge watching like Tony Watson and those guys that are older leaders in the team, how they go about their business. And I mean, situations that Tony would never pitch in, or those guys would never pitch in, and they're constantly ready at any time to be ready to go, just because you don't know what anyone's thinking, and if they could see fit that this is a good situation or good matchup for you. So that's what kind of the biggest learning curve is, just learning how to prepare your body and get everything ready, and make sure that you're also mentally and physically locked in for any situation in the ball game.
And for you, having that slider as your out pitch, like you mentioned before, it's something that just seems like it's kind of, took off for you in terms of, making your way up kind of the organization, kind of rankings just with that slider. Obviously, you kind of your strikeout go-to pitch. But what else do you think, you're trying to improve on? Obviously the slider seems pretty in tune just in terms of the success you've had with it. Obviously the fastball, you're working on the command with that. But what else do you think or are you working on to, really take that next step in your career, like you mentioned before, of trying to be, implemented in the back end of a bullpen for a long time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, so, I mean, the slider fastball has been my bread and butter from day one, and it's working out well. The things I'm trying to work on and try to improve on is I've been messing around with the changeup or something. I have a tendency to cut the fastball, and then the slider moves into righties away from lefties, and so I got to keep them honest and have something that breaks either into lefties or away from righties. And so working on messing around with the two-seamer, a changeup or something like that, to where I'm working on something else that keeps it going to the other side of the plate, especially when I face big power hitting righties, so everything is not going in towards them. That's kind of been the biggest thing to work on. And then also fastball slider is being able to throw it to all quadrants of the strike zone. It's being able to work up in the strike zone earlier in the counts, and then work bottom of the strike zone, and be able to throw your slider in all those locations, and fastball as well. I mean, it's a situation where if you're facing a righty or so, I need to be able to throw that backdoor slider a couple times, and instead of the normal one where it's like starts a strike and ends as a strike in the inner half, that doesn't work for everyone. And so it's learning how to throw your two pitches in every location, and do that in various spots and all that. And then I think I'll spend more time working on a changeup and working on maybe a two-seam or something like that this off season. But as of right now, it's how can I make my fastball and changeup my two best pitches, and be able to throw them in any count and in any location as well.
And for you, last night, obviously mentioning you're from Austin, Texas, playing in Houston. Obviously no fans, but, coming back home and, getting to pitch in your home state, in the major leagues. Is that something that, you always long to do, just in terms of coming back and, really just being at, the peak of someone's professional career, not only in, any job profession, but, especially in baseball, reaching the highest point you can get to. I mean, was that special for you last night, just in terms of getting that, not only being there, but also getting the pitch right close to home?
Yeah, that was really pretty cool. It would have been elevated probably
if your family was
times
there
with the family and friends there, and it would have been a blast. But I grew up an Astros fan. That was my childhood team. And the Killer Bees were going on. Bagwell, Biggio, Berkman, all those guys. Roger Clemens and Andy Pettit and Roy Oswalt were the pitchers. And so that was my childhood team growing up. And so that was a blast. And I remember I went to the NLCS in 2005 when Roger Clemens faced the St. Louis Cardinals, and we sat in section 3000 or whatever it was, way up on the roof, and it was just the coolest experience ever because we got to see a World Series or a NLCS game, and it was very exciting. And I remember being in that ballpark for that game, and I went back yesterday and went and sat up in that seat, and that was a cool moment of just being back there again, and especially at Minute Maid, and just seeing it all over again, and just the first time I've actually been on the mound, and just you go out to the ballpark, and I've never been on the field before, and it was just such a different experience of looking around and just like take 15-30 seconds to soak it all in and just enjoy it, and then it goes back to locking it in and trying to throw strikes and you're trying to help your team get the win. But it was a very, very cool moment, and I really, it was kind of one of those where like I'll take a mental snapshot and reflect back on this throughout my career.
And for you guys, one of the last questions I wanted to ask you is just for the Giants in terms of 60-game sprint to the finish. Obviously, the Giants, are probably underlooked just in terms of being a team rebuilding, missing some key pieces just in terms of Buster Posey not being there. But for you guys, 60-game sprint, not much room in between first and last place. How comfortable or how excited are you guys just feeling just in terms of, it's going to seem like you always have a chance just in terms of the expanded playoffs and, the shortened season. There's not going to be much wiggle room between teams. Is it, exciting just to, kind of already be in a pennant race, just being, not close to the end, but, almost halfway there. And not only that, but, looking at the standings right now, first to last place, it's like a 4-game difference. It's not that much. Is that exciting for you guys, just knowing that seems like you're always going to have a chance down to the last week or so?
No, exactly. And it's in a normal 160-game season, this would be the sprint. And it's kind of interesting right now. Just it feels as if you're not learning each other, but we're playing good baseball. And this is a tough road trip. We're playing. The Rockies are 12-3. We're playing, and then the Dodgers, Astros are World Series contenders. And so we're finish up this road trip and then finish up this month, and then I think the last 30 days are an absolute sprint to the finish line. And we feel like anyone can be involved in this. And we have great pitching, great defense, and great lineup. And it's just one of those situations where whoever gets hot, anything can happen. And so we're really excited about going forward to see what happens with it all. And it's like you said, anything can happen. We have I think there's 42 games left in the season, and all it takes is just a little spark to get going, and you feel good and you get some momentum going, and then who knows what's going to happen after that. And we're really looking forward to it, and hope we can make a name for ourselves.
Now, Sam, I just wanted to thank you for coming on. Just a few rapid, just kind of personal questions to kind of wrap it up. The first one for me to you, obviously, is who is your favorite, teammate in the clubhouse? I'm sure, you guys are all getting to know each other, especially more now, just with, being isolated together. But who's someone that's funny or just kind of, someone you rely on just in terms of, a role model or just trying to nitpick them with their experience? Who's someone who you try to rely on or just lean on in that organization?
Yeah, I've had a lot of good teammates here and all that. It's been a blast. I've known Mike Yastrzemski the longest. I've known him since 2010 at Vanderbilt together. We came in the same freshman class. As far as someone who's been really pretty influential and helpful with my career so far this year is probably Tony Watson. He is the left-handed relief pitcher that I would love to be. He's done it for so long and done it with multiple teams, and he's the guy that you want to watch as
Yeah.
far as someone you want to emulate. I mean, just goes out there night after night and is always ready to go, and always tries to give his team a fighting chance. And it's one of those things where it's like you can watch on tape and see all that, but it's like the behind the scenes that you watch of the work ethic that goes into it, or how you prepare every day, or how do you attack certain hitters. I mean, that's the invaluable experience that you don't get before you get to Major League Baseball. And so he's been kind of someone that I like to look at and just try to follow in his footsteps.
For you too, you mentioned Mike and you going to Vanderbilt. Tim Corbin, obviously one of the best coaches in the country. How, just of a great experience was that for you? Obviously getting drafted beforehand, getting that experience. So how easy was the transition from college to pro ball, just being in a college and a university, not only getting a great education, but, learning from a great mentor and, almost kind of running the program like a major league organization?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had a fantastic time at Vanderbilt and loved my experience there. And I came from a small private high school, and we only had 14 guys in our on our high school baseball team. And so when I went to Vanderbilt, it was, 35 guys, and all these guys are extremely talented and great baseball players. And so when you get up there, it's just you realize that you are not the big fish in a small pond anymore, and there are a lot of good baseball players here. And so I think that's the thing, is that you quickly realize is that it's fun competition, but it's also there's a lot of good guys here that can make you better, and everyone's in the same boat. We're all trying to get to play Major League Baseball at the next level, and trying to work hard and do whatever we can to keep moving up the ranks and all that, and try to get better as a team. And Corbin really instilled that in us, and it's one of those invaluable college experiences that I obviously love and wish everyone could have. But he was just a great coach to have out there. And Derek Johnson with the Cincinnati Reds is our pitching coach as well. And just the time he took is just, I can never thank him enough. I only threw 6 innings my freshman year, 6 my sophomore year. And it felt like I was just one of the same guys as Sonny Graham. He was working with me all the time, working on my pitches, trying to develop them, because he knew at some point that I would be involved with the program. And so that was just something that I'm so appreciative to him for really sticking with me and helping me through. And I'm always grateful to Vanderbilt, and I try to go back and say hello to those guys as much as I can. But it definitely prepared me for the next level. Definitely got to pitch with some major league guys, throw to some major league hitters, and it's like when you get drafted, you go play professional baseball. It's the same thing all over again. It's the same guys who face in the SEC. Just these are the same characters that you've seen. Where Bregman went to LSU, all these other guys went to big schools, and so it's just who can do it more consistently. And that was a great learning experience at Vanderbilt for me.
Totally. Second to last question for you. Who is someone, obviously, with the fans, you might get distracted here or there, just in terms of, maybe not totally being in tune to the game, especially being in the bullpen. But for you, who's someone, especially now with, no fans, having, nothing else really distracting you, who's somebody that you really love to watch, either on your team or, opposing team, just watching them play the game that really, kind of catches your eye, and, you're excited to go to the ballpark to see whether he's on your team or not, just seeing how great they are at the sport that you love?
Yeah, I love I love watching a variety of guys. So some of our starting pitchers have been extremely fun to watch. Kevin Gossman, the last couple outings he has thrown has been pretty electric. And he's really fun to watch from a day-to-day basis, and just seeing him go out there and throw. As far as guys on another team, I'm trying to think of who I really like watching. I've always liked watching Andrew Miller. He's been a fastball slider guy. It's a lot of fun to watch him, and I'll go back and I try not to. I'll go on YouTube sometimes for him, and I'll look up full counts and like full bad bats and try to watch and see how he threw guys and see how that difference from mine. And And so like he's a big one that I love watching throw all the time. Pretty much any big left-handed reliever. Brad Hand, I watched the other night when we were on a team flight flying out here to Houston. Watched him throw, and I love watching any time a left-handed pitcher comes into the ball game. I'll definitely turn it on and watch them for a little bit and see how they throw.
Awesome. Last question for you before we let you go. Obviously, thank you for your time and everything, but I just wanted to ask you, game tonight, you pitched last night, had a great inning in relief last night. I'm sure you're feeling good just with all the success you've been having, but what's kind of your plan from now once we get off the phone to the game? Can you just give us a little rundown of what you plan on doing? I know you mentioned, the daily stuff's pretty similar, but I mean, today, what are you going to do just in terms of, from now until game start?
Yeah, so I got the room service breakfast coming on up here pretty soon. Can't leave the hotel, so got to order breakfast up to your room. And then from here, it's I'll probably hang out and either watch a movie or so, or read a book, or do something to occupy my time for the next 2 hours or so. And then I like walking over to the ballpark and I put some music on our podcast and get locked in for the game and get mentally ready. And then once I get there, it's okay. I'll probably work out today and get a light lift in, and then go out and play catch, and then work on some of the things that I didn't do so well last night and try to focus on those, and do a couple of drills to make sure that I'm locked back in and I'm working on the things that I need to focus on that are going to help me prepare for the night going ahead. And so probably do those drills and then just lock it in for the game and get ready to go out there and potentially help the team win a ball game tonight.
Awesome, Sam. So I just wanted to thank you for coming on. Obviously, I know you're busy, mid-season right now, obviously trying to make a push to the playoffs and, instill yourself in the bullpen for years to come. So I just wanted to thank you for taking the quick time to talk to us. Wish you all the best and stay healthy. And, we hope to see you guys, come October with all things hopefully aligning up for you.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Kyle. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam, and, wish you all the best, and, we'll be watching, I'll definitely be watching just in terms of, when you get into the ball games and whatnot. So just thanks to come on. Hope to stay in touch, throughout the season, even next year, and, hope that maybe have you on sometime soon in the near future again.
Perfect. Really appreciate it. Would love to come back on.
Thanks, Sam.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye-bye. Yeah, so that was Sam Selman, San Francisco Giants relief pitcher. Obviously, like he mentioned, pitched last night. Going into tonight, you always got to be ready. Like he mentioned, 12 pitches last night. He can definitely be used again in any sort of situation. You never know what's going to happen with the starter, the relievers, and whatnot. So we wish Sam all the best. Thanks for him taking the time out to talk to us, just in terms of being mid-season, not having a lot of time to himself. So obviously more time this year, just in terms of being isolated. But I just wanted to thank Sam for coming on again. Thank you for all of you out there who are listening to this point. Means a lot to us. Means a lot to me too, just in terms of talking to all these guys and getting the great feedback from all the listeners means a lot. So thanks for all of you guys. Season 2 is kicking off with Sam, as I mentioned in the beginning. So thanks to Sam for helping us kick off Season 2. Wish you all the best. Everyone out there, stay healthy. Watch the Giants. Watch Sam. Just watch baseball. Get back into sports. It's a really exciting time with all the sports going on right now. So thanks for everybody for listening and watching. And we're gonna have another episode out pretty shortly. We have some other people, some cool guys coming on right after Sam. So thanks everybody, and hope everybody keeps on listening, and thank you for all the support.